Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. We are going to talk about the third book of the ACOTAR series, and that is Wings and Ruin. Let's get into the synopsis first before we really dive into this bad boy. Feyre has returned to the Spring Court, determined to gather information on Tamlin's actions and learn what she can about the invading king threatening to bring her land to its knees. But to do so, she must play a deadly game of deceit. One slip could bring doom, not only for Feyre, but for everything and everyone she holds dear. As war bears down upon them all, Feyre endeavors to take her place amongst the high fae of the land, balancing her struggle to master her powers, both magical and political, and her love for her court and family. Amidst these struggles, Feyre and Rhysand must decide whom to trust amongst the cunning and lethal High Lords, and hunt for allies in unexpected places. So, I'm gonna just say this now. This was my least favorite out of the three I read so far. And why I'm saying that is oh man, this is a book that when you're reading it, you're like, ooh, there's some good things in it, but there's so much fluff. There's a lot of fluff. A lot of people are walking around talking. How book 2 ends of Feyre's like basically being a spy around Tamlin, that lasts for, I think it was like 50 pages of this whole book. And I thought at least half this book was going to be about that, but I was totally wrong. And it just rubbed me the wrong way, because I sat there and thought, I'm like, okay, so I'm supposed to be committed to this, but how can I be committed to what she wanted to do when it was quickly over with? And she just escaped. She didn't really have to escape that hard. And Lucien went with her back to the Night Court. And I thought there was going to be a little drama with that part of it, with like Lucien and the Night Court, but no, they kind of just let him do whatever he wanted. Like, yeah, he was like stuck in like the house, but it's like he wasn't like a prisoner, which I think was fine. I think there was a way, because it was portraying that like the Night Court's not like evil and Rhysand's not an evil man, so I thought that was like fine. But to me, I'm like, man, that felt very fast. I think that's my biggest beef about this whole book, is the build up to what we have to do, and the payoff is never there. You spend, no joke, probably 300 or 400 pages of this book of planning the freaking war, and then the war's over in one chapter. And I was like, why? Wow, I was really disappointed in that. And then, which really bites, because there's just so many elements. I actually really did enjoy this book, but oh my gosh, the payoffs just were not there. There was some times in the chapters where she had like a meeting where all the High Lords were there, including Tamlin, and Tamlin was just saying what he had to say in front of Feyre and Rhysand. And I thought it was a really cool, good chapter, and the interactions between these characters. And you kind of got a glimpse that maybe everything Feyre was saying about Tamlin was not completely 100% honest or correct, because you only got to see through her lens. So when Tamlin's explaining things on his side, you're kind of like, that kind of makes sense. So it's kind of one of those things, which I do enjoy. I really liked a lot of elements of this book. But when we get to the payoffs part, it was not much of a payoff. I'm just so used to reading different fantasy where they're building up a war, they're building up. And then when the thing happens, we'll say a war, or just when you fight the final boss and the payoff's there and it's like worth it, because you're like, I just spent 200 pages finally learning that this is gonna happen. And when it finally happens and it's like 50 pages, you're like, ooh, yeah. Now, granted, the war isn't truly a chapter long. I'm gonna put in air quotes, a chapter. It kind of is, because Feyre stands there and watches the battle happens, and it's just a chapter. And then after that, they kind of fight the king. So it's like, that's not like the war part of it. Like when you read books like The Wheel of Time, for example, the final battle is literally book 14, essentially, is the whole battle of everything. And that was a huge payoff. And that was a lot of good payoffs. This doesn't feel like there was a lot of payoffs in this. There was cool moments, like I keep saying, I'm going to try and bring that up. There is moments in this where I was like, ooh, yeah, this is really good. But it's so clustered and overbeared by everything else that just felt like it should not have been there. And that's kind of how I was looking at it, is this is a 700 page book. It probably could have been 500 pages and it would be gas. I keep saying it with every single book in this series. I feel like it could have been cut just a smidge, and each one of them would have been more gas. It's not just that, but I also said that like with Wheel of Time and the Stormlight Archive books, some books just don't even need to be that long in order to get to the point. Because there's so many times where Feyre and Rhysand are just walking, they're just talking, and it's like, this is fine, but it's also like, dang. My biggest complaint about this, there's only one series I really like that does it for first person POV, which is this series, is this is first person all through Feyre. I wish this was multi-POV. I feel like I would like the series a lot more if it was multi-POV, because you have all these characters that everyone talks about how much they like, and I could definitely see why people like Asriel and Cassian and Morg and stuff. I can see why people like these characters, but to me, I'm like, couldn't we just have like POV chapters of them and not have Feyre through it, you know, or POV chapters of Nesta and Elaine? There's just a lot more potential. And I was telling my girlfriend this, my complaint was the first person POV, and she told me the Throne Glass series actually does multi-POV, which is cool, which I feel like, to me personally, with fantasy, I feel like you have to do that. The only one I can give the excuse to that I think does a really good job at not doing multi-POV is, well, the Dresden Files. I think the Dresden Files does an awesome job of not doing a multi-POV, because it always feels like it's just like a crime cop thriller kind of style, so I think that just fits it. But to me, that's like, I just have so many issues, and the issues just overbear all the things I really liked about this book. I always go in with every single one of these with open mind, but oh man, the payoffs were so close. And spoiler, I'm gonna get to a spoiler. I have one spoiler that almost made me DNF this book. Mind you, I was like 650 pages into this book, but I almost DNF'd it because it ticked me off so much, and I hate when books do this, and that is fake out deaths. Oh my gosh. She did a fake out death with Rystan, and at first I was like, it really threw me off that he died. I was like, what? And then maybe 10 pages later, he's alive. He's fine. But her dad actually dies. And I was like, all right. There was a moment where I actually liked her dad. What he did was really good, but I didn't feel anything because you barely interact with her dad. And that's why I feel like the multi-POV chapters are better, because we could have had a chapter or two with her dad from book 1 all the way to here, and we actually could have felt that connection with him and how much he truly cares about his daughters, but we didn't really get that, and it just really bites, because someone who doesn't read fantasy as much as they used to is now noticing that how important a multi-POV chapters are for fantasy. I truly think it's very important, but yeah, that's like the biggest downfall, is this is like a first person book, and I think that really limits this. Also, I will say this, every single character in his book loves to trauma dump to Feyre, and to me, I'm like, these other characters are hundreds of years old, and they have been friends with other characters for hundreds of years. Why are you only opening up to Feyre, but not to other characters? So in this book, Mor actually confesses why her and Asriel will never be together, and that's because she likes women, and she just starts expressing all this to Feyre. And my thought is, why Feyre and not to your friends that are hundreds of years old that you've known for hundreds of years? Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Mor, because I think the way that she goes about a lot of things I just did not like. She could have told Asriel, especially the way that Sarah has wrote Asriel, he would have understood immediately. Just the way that she has wrote that character, he would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, totally. Instead, she sleeps with Cassian to throw Asriel off, and it's like, but if you just told Asriel, I don't think he would have been mad. Like, just how she wrote Asriel, he's a really good character. Like, I actually like him and Cassian. I like a lot of the cast, but it's like, some of these things that she does, I'm like, why? Now, maybe that's just a hot take. Anyone can let me know down below what they think, if they agree with that part. But just to me, with Morg, I'm like, why is she not talking to Rysand about this, or Cassian, or Asriel? You know, your family, but you're talking to Feyre. Granted, Feyre is a part of that family now, but you don't have that connection with Feyre like you do with the other ones. That's kind of like my biggest beef about it all, that's why I feel like if this was a multi-POV book, I think all these things I'm complaining about would make way more sense. But that's just me again. Now, if I had to give this book a rating, this is the lowest rating I have gave any of these books in the ACOTAR series, and that is a 2 out of 5. And the reason why, I think this is better than the first book, but the first book compared to this one is there's not a lot of payoffs in the first book. I just didn't like the ending of the first book. I just feel like the ending was just so bad that it just ruined it. I think the beginning was actually fine. The beginning, middle were perfect. Not perfect, but I think they were good. But Wings and Ruin gave you so much build up, so much stuff, and the payoffs just did not feel satisfying. And also, I really hate fake out death. So if I read any book that has a fake out death and it's not good, or maybe if you do a fake out death and the character dies and then they come back like 3 books later and you actually have a good reason for it, I'll believe it. But if you come back 5 pages later, I'm really gonna be annoyed. But the payoffs in this was just not there, and the war really annoyed me too. But again, I think there's just there's so much potential in this that I can see why people love this series. I really can. But to me, I'm just like so close to being like, holy crap, this is so good. But whatever. I will be reading the Christmas special soon. I think I'm going to give it like 2 or 3 books and then I'll read the next one. If you guys made it to the end of the video, what do you guys think about A Court of Wings and Ruin? Do you guys agree with what I'm saying, or do you disagree? Do you think I have no idea what I'm talking about and I'm just delusional? Or do you think, wow, he's right about these things? Let me know down below. And also, who is your favorite character in the ACOTAR series? Mine is probably Azrael or Cassian. I'm going to say probably one of those. I think it's Azrael probably. He's just a really chill dude. He's just a chill guy. But of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.